Good morning. I just woke up. It's pretty early in the morning. I had this amazing dream. I just getting these earphones plugged in. So yeah, lit some candles. Decided I would do a video this morning. Something around this powerful dream I had, I'll explain in a moment. Yesterday I was out with a couple colleagues and we were walking around this beautiful park, kind of a very nature wild park in this edge of the city. And one point we were doing a very intense processing of relationships, of what it means to do liberation peer counseling, what it means to practice the path of fearlessness. And they went pretty well. There was a lot of conflict between a couple of the people, and I was there as a mediator. And at one point we were closing the circle. We'd been there like 4 hours doing this really intense work, and it was good. But yeah, we were kind of getting a little cold and exhausted somewhat. It was a cool day, snowing lightly in the city. And we did this ceremony around this, inside this small teepee of wonderful poles that were still there. And there's no canvas on it. And one of the persons did a prayer. And it was interesting to be part of. Not that I'm a big prayer person in terms of traditional religions. And when he finished the prayer, we were in this kind of circle, and this kind of a silence, and immediately flew over us was this goshawk, which is one of the accipiters of the hawk family. And they are huge, powerful predator. And I wanted to mention it this morning, because this bird to me has become quite a powerful spirit guide, if you will, which goes back to about a year ago. I was doing a ritual with Barbara on this hill where I was a young child at 4 and grew up. It's not too far from where we live right now. And this image, I did a trance experience. Barbara guided me, and I just kind of went into this trance as I laid on the ground in this spot where I grew up as a 4 or 5-year-old and used to go and play in this grassy hill on the escarpment of the Bow River. And so just doing this, in my adulthood, 60 years later, a spirit came to me in an image when I was in the trance of a red eye. I knew it was a raptor, a predatory bird. And of course, the red eye just was like really intense, and the sun was beating on me in the trance. I was not completely gone or dissociated, but I was in enough of a sort of semi-light trance experience or state. And this bird image just really penetrated this red eye. I don't remember all the rest of the trance, even though I did write it down, and it's something I'll probably go look at again, because, as I say, just yesterday, this goshawk, which has a red eye, they're one of the few birds that have a red eye, which means they have no color pigment in their iris. So they have this translucency and just amazing look to this eye. And that bird, as it flew over us, I know was looking at us. It was also going wherever it was going. But when it came at the end of this prayer, which we were really asking for strength and how to carry on liberation work in the world, I was quite taken with it. my other two partners didn't really understand, and I didn't give them this full story. And I think maybe that's why I feel a need to put it put it down and make it public. Um, that in my journey of liberation over 30, 40 years, depend where you want to start from birth, of coming onto this planet in a pretty oppressive society for the most part, that I've had to find guides of all different kinds. My parents obviously couldn't be a guide. My relatives couldn't be really the kind of guide I was looking for. Of course, I've searched for different teachers um, to be guides, and more or less made them my guides and found guides, but never really found the guide that's right for me. And I don't think there is always one guide. There's many as we cycle in life and go through phases of growth and transformation. This hawk spirit, let's call it, is part of a connection with Merlin in the ancient mythologies, which is the magician, the trickster for me, and goes back in mythology and various traditions and cultures throughout history. I don't know and believe necessarily all these different meanings of what that means, and I don't go look it up. And I'm not that kind of person. I like to go with this intuitive feel and my own naturalist instincts, primal and naturalist instincts about what these spirits might mean. And all I know is last night, so had some powerful experiences. The goshawk visited me again. And last night, just actually kind of early this morning, I had woken up early in the night. Then I went back to sleep into a semi sleep, and I was very lucid. So, this dream was really a lucid dream, as it's sort of called, where I was very participative in the happening of the dream. And that means more or less conscious, some part of me, and another part of me quite unconscious with things happening and going on, but I was also sort of steering the dream in certain ways. So let me just vaguely, just for the record, talk about my first quite powerful lucid dream that I know of in my life. I was in some kind of university setting, like in the hallways, and I don't know exactly what I was doing, but I seemed to be sort of looking for something or to get somewhere. And was very aware that at one point I was laying down in the hallway, which was kind of weird, and it was very crowded, and I don't like crowds. I tend to avoid them. But there I was, and there was lots of people around, and I seemed sort of kind of stunned in a way, like I was kind of in trance, like I was watching myself, feeling myself in trance, again, observing with a certain witness quality, which allowed for this lucid capability of steering this dream. So the main theme again is there's unconscious material that I don't feel like I'm at all in control of, when I'm in this state and was in this dream, with my sandals being continually lost. And I said, well, gee, I'm in like bare feet. Like, how am I gonna get, and I'm not like a barefoot person, like, some of the organic people are. um, but I couldn't, I'd sort of find them and then I'd lose them again. And then it was all around these sandals kind of guiding me to different places. And that's literally what they were doing. So, um, is that a symbol of, my soul is missing and some part of my soul I'm attempting to retrieve? I reflect on that now and wonder about it. I've been doing dream work and in the sense of journaling since 1978, a long time, recording dreams and looking at them. Not every dream, but lots. That just gives you a sense. I've been doing a lot of work with my dream world, my trance world. Then at one point, the dream got very intense with characters. Again, kind of in this lost state of, semi-trance. I felt I was kind of dissociated, like, and I was aware. I said, yeah, I feel like I'm kind of in a very dissociated state, almost, kind of like hallucinating. And I just kind of relaxed into it in the dream, which was great. Kept going because I will say I was searching for a question about fearlessness and how to bring this work into the planet in a more effective way and in different ways. Not that there's one way to do liberation work and emphasize the study of fear and ultimately to help us along the path of fearlessness. And then at one point, this young, beautiful woman didn't recognize her doll. She was like not someone in my memory, which I often have. And she just came right up to me. And when we started having this discussion going on, and it was mostly different language or something, I was definitely just telepathically communicating with her. And it was so physically real. I mean, I thought I was awake. And so part of the lucid dream, I was actually awake and I'm thinking in the dream in this awake state, but I'm actually, of course, sleeping. That, whoa, this is like an amazing woman connection outward. I'm just listening so concentrated to her. And that also deepens the trance experience. And then I realized I was kind of moving into the state of consciousness that she was in. And that was taking me into a deeper state of trance. And what I use the word felt like I was different personality. And I actually even sort of think like I was that person. She is one of my alters. And yet we were in this deep connection and it grew into quite a loving, even at one point, touching, holding, and it was so real. That's all I know. It was so real, present in all of my embodied self and selves. Then at one point, and so I noticed, gee, I wonder what people are going to think. I'm like having this interaction, I'm talking with this person, and there's other students from the university, right, that are there and they're doing the things that they do. And I realized, wow, like they're actually watching what I'm doing, but I really like going where I'm going, even though it's a little weird and it's feels kind of, as I say, kind of woozy weird, like I'm kind of losing my normal sense of oneself. Then a man shows up and he looks like her. Not the same. He was definitely a male figure, a masculine figure. And yet I recognize immediately similar characteristics, like genetic brother, sister. We didn't talk a lot, but I kind of was engaged him and I said, wow, I don't even know what I said, but it was kind of like, you're in this too, and I liked it. I liked meeting him and I was aware again, oh boy, now I've got two characters I'm talking to. And then there was a third one that showed up, and I can't remember to describe this third alter. Alter as being kind of like an alter ego is what I'm speaking about. Then suddenly, a kind of in the awareness and a kind of maybe a part of me freaking out a little bit that I was really dissociating. But again, I was aware that I wanted this. I was in some sense instigating meeting these alters. Another character shows up to my right and sort of, how, wow, oh, hi, how, is that you? And he recognized me. And I said, oh, this is somebody from my life. So it wasn't so much a typical alter. It was another kind of character from the real world. And it was Kent. And this is Kent from, I think, going way back to either high school or college, or many decades ago. I have not seen him since. I have no idea why he showed up, but there he was, and he was kind of a straight guy, as I remember way back. Anyway, he was a friend of mine in some way. Can't remember. Anyway, Kent was listening to me interacting, right? Like, and I wanted to know, like, Kent, do you see? And so she was there, he was there, and this third altar was there, and I said, like, Kent, are you seeing them? And then I noticed that they started talking, especially the guy who looked like the beautiful woman who I was really falling in love with, and who she said at one point, "I love you," and it's like, I'm like, I'm like melting, and this guy starts talking in this language that all of a sudden now I couldn't understand. It was no language I've ever heard of before, and talking to Kent, and I don't know. Kent sort of seemed to be getting something, but I don't think he saw them like I was seeing them so vivid. And then at one point, Kent sort of just turns around and faces into this wall, and there's kind of a cubby space or an open space, like a hollow with some kind of statues or something in, and then he sort of yells and shouts, and it was like, I think that was like some part of me that wanted to, like, was freaking out with this connection with these characters, and it was so real. And like, I was definitely, quote, destabilized from R. Michael Fisher. That was R. Michael Fisher was not there, and that's cool. It's weird. It's something that I've studied and read about, and also been watching videos on dissociative identity disorder, or DIDS. Used to be called multiple personality disorder. And we've also been watching various films, Barbara and I, about archetypes and the power of archetypes to come in and take over. And we've been talking about trance, because we're teaching a course on trance and possession trance versus various kinds of semi possession to very light trance. And this has also kind of been part of our work to explore how to transform oneself, this ego identity, this culturally constructed self, and explore spaces between selves and spaces between our cellular identity structures. And in that exploration, um, gets very interesting of what are the possibilities of transforming to become different parts and connect with the world in different ways, whether it's connecting with the goshawk, this beautiful guiding spirit that's now coming into my life again in Calgary. And I'm looking forward to these altars and my experience that I had last night, which was really unique in the power realness of it, how they may assist me in my teaching on fear and fearlessness. And so I encourage all of you who are exploring fear and fearlessness, however you're doing that in your own life, and if you're involved with me in my teachings and work, I just want to let you know is that, if you look to this side of the room, you see the rational side is all my collection, my scientific, philosophical, art, anthropological, psychological, sociological self that's interested in studying fear and fearlessness. And if you look on this side of the room, you see this kind of artistic side, this beautiful art piece behind, and the candles representing, well, the right side of reality, the left side of reality, right side of the brain, left side of the brain, all kinds of interesting research on states of consciousness and various characters. And I brought out my jalaba from Morocco that I purchased in 1991 when Barbara and I went to Morocco. I was given this hat yesterday, which is a Moroccan hat, and I'm just playing with all these different archetypes, as you'll see in all of my videos. I explore different characters for teaching uh, performances. So look forward to exploring how all these come back together, and any comments you may have of this conversation, and you might even share some of your dreams. I think got lots to explore in the trance world, the semi-conscious, unconscious, collective unconscious worlds, as the mission. Don't forget the mission. I'm not forgetting the mission. Is still how to better work with fear and nurture the path of fearlessness. And folks, we're ready. We're ready. Okay. Bye bye now.